Hi. So I think that Mark started by calling me middle-aged. I'm pretty sure that's how this whole thing started. And we actually, before at the table, were having a little chat about being Gen X. I am definitely part of a very small generation called Gen X. But I'm also very lucky in that after they had me, my parents had 2 more daughters. And then after they had those 2 more daughters, they waited a little while, and then they had a 4th daughter, potentially because they were thinking maybe she'd be a boy. But she wasn't, and we love her. And that 4th daughter, we all love her. I will share with you that in the current generation of grandchildren, they have all grandsons and 1 granddaughter. So they got many, 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 many boys. They just had to wait another generation. That daughter is my sister Sam, and she is very much the millennial mom that your new branding is talking about. So I want to tell you a little bit about her and a little bit about what I've learned from her. Sam is 30 years old. She is married. Her husband was not born Jewish. They have a 2-year-old who they are committed to raising Jewish. Sam works full-time. She's working on an MBA, which I think is her 3rd degree, although it's not clear that she finished her 2nd degree, so it's not totally clear, but she's also going to school part-time. And she said to me, I said, what's an average weekend look like to you? And this is what she said to me. She said, I have so many things to do on the average weekend. I have to do my homework. I have to go to class. I want to see my friends. I want to have play dates. I have to do laundry. I have to do the grocery shopping. I have to clean my house. It's actually not true. The house is not so clean. I've been there, but it's okay. I have a million things to do, she said, and I feel guilty. She said, I feel like I'm not giving my 2-year-old enough diversity, enough stimulation, enough extra activities. And I want more, and there's all these choices, and I'm overwhelmed and a little guilty and distracted, and I don't really know how to choose. I think the JCC movement, the JCCs have the tremendous opportunity to engage Sam, to engage thousands of young adults like her. I think many are doing it already, and I want to talk a little bit about how. So first I just want to talk about who are these millennials, right? What's this millennial mom? I feel in some ways a little lucky because after we had started to talk about what I was going to talk about today, Chris called me and said, hey, I've got some secret branding to share with you, all focused on the millennial moms. So I know you've been talking about it a little bit already. Millennials are 27% of the population. They're more numerous than baby boomers, and they're projected to outnumber non-millennials by 2030. That's the largest of any group in the country. And the millennials are estimated to have $1.3 trillion of consumer spending, which is only increasing. $1.3 trillion. So who are they and what are their interests? The classic millennial example, in my mind, is CrossFit, right? It's not exercise, it's a way of life. If any of you are familiar with CrossFit, my guess is that some of you are. CrossFit is an exercise, but it's not an exercise. It's a fitness group with a special kind of gym that they don't call a gym, they call a box. It has a die-hard devotion. It has a way of eating called paleo. It's a total way of life. It's a great example of the multiple layers in which millennials live their lives and are interested in maximizing every moment. I was in a conversation, some of you were in it yesterday, about sort of, do JCCs give meaning or do JCCs meet needs? In the millennial audience, it doesn't really matter because meaning is a need to millennials. Millennials were raised by many of the people in this room to believe and to need meaning. And so the two are always layered on top of each other. And in the millennial audience, there's always this multiplicity of every single moment is maximized, right? Can't just be on one screen, I have to be on 4 screens. Can't just be going out with my friends, I also have to be networking and learning and doing something else. It's more. It's the resume building that they started on in, I don't know, at, 7 years old when they're going door to door, like Adrian's daughter, and continues to this day. Age elasticity. Millennials are closer to their parents and their children than any generation before. Millennial moms in particular are really interested in brands that can also expand to their parents and to their children. So, example here, which she may kill me for sharing. My sister Sam that I told you about, when her now husband, my brother-in-law James, whom we love, asked her to marry him, she said, and I quote, "I think I want to say yes, but I'm gonna call my mom first." And she did. And my mom said, "Well, honey, and I think it's great, and whatever," and then she said yes, right? It's not uncommon. Millennials are super close to their parents. They're super close to their children. The brands that are reaching them best are brands that understand this and are reaching multiple audiences. Let's take Starbucks, right? Starbucks is a coffee shop. 20 years ago, coffee shops sold coffee. Starbucks sells coffee, but Starbucks also, in their little refrigerated case, sells juice boxes, cheese sticks, kids snacks, right? Because they understand that for the millennial mom, she's gonna be serving multiple needs at one time. So hashtags. We talked a little about Twitter. I don't know if people know what a hashtag is, but it's that little pound sign with a word, right? That people use to kind of tag and collate photos, tweets, Facebook posts, those kinds of things. The top 3 hashtags for the millennial audience are, number 1, love, L-O-V-E. Number 2, adventure. Number 3, TBT. What's TBT? Throwback Thursday, right? It's on Thursdays. People are on Facebook. You may see on Thursday, people post pictures of themselves as little kids, of their parents. For millennials, life is about social connections. That's the love piece. It's about having new experiences constantly, maximizing every moment. That's the adventure piece. And it's about nostalgia. Not nostalgia, by the way, for their grandparents, well, for their relationship with their grandparents, but not nostalgia, I mean like for history, right? Not in the birthright world, the birthright branding isn't about connecting people to sort of nostalgia about the land of Israel. It's nostalgia in some ways for their own lives. Like that's the cycle of life we've taken up. It's nostalgia for when they were 2, or potentially nostalgia for seeing old pictures of their parents, those kinds of things. So in the Jewish context, who's the Jewish millennial? Birthright has offered up a huge opportunity and a serious number of potential consumers of Jewish life. There are over 265,000 people in the United States who have been on Birthright since 1999. The oldest of those are probably close to 40. There are many, many thousands in their 30s, prime JCC consumer age. In 2013, there were 30,000 young adults who went on Birthright from the United States. In 2014, there are going to be 35,000 young adults. We're talking about huge numbers. We've done a number of communal research studies on who these people are, right? And both from Birthright and not Birthright. And there's a few themes that emerge, right? The most significant common denominator of this population, unfortunately, is there's no common denominator, right? This is a generation of individual by individual by individual by individual. All of the members are different. They care about different things. The ways in which they're creating their identity are very, very individualistic. Institutions are not a draw. Friends are a draw. Peer networks, hugely effective, right? What brings people to the table? Friends. By the way, I don't think that's unique to millennials. I think that's very true across the generations. In every circle of friends, and I know this is true for me, and I am sure it's true for you, there's 1 or 2 people that organize everything, and the rest of us kind of just go along and do what they do, right? When I want to send my kids to dance class, I call my friend and I say, hey, where are your kids going to dance class? And I do that, right? And that's true. That's true for me. It's true for my parents and in-laws. It's true for my kids. That's the way we organize our lives. Bridging between universalism and particularism matters, right? The millennials are interested in their own specific identities. Their friends are interested in their identities. They have friends who are Korean American, African American, gay, straight, transgender, all super important in, sort of particularistic identities, but universalism, hugely important, right? Care broadly about the world. Very hesitant to say any one of those groups deserves more, is more close or less close to them. There's also tremendous, I'm gonna call it competition, right? Organizational opportunity. Stephen Cohen said yesterday in a session I was at that the Jews are more entrepreneurial than other ethnic groups, and there are hundreds of programs, maybe thousands of programs, in the Jewish community reaching out to this audience. And then, you remember my sister Sam, right? There's work, there's resume building, there's fitness, there's friends, there's parents, there's graduate school. Millennials are really distracted. I saw on the wall outside, I've heard a lot of times this question of millennials being disengaged. They're not disengaged. They're really engaged, but they're highly distracted. They have a million options. So, can we think of a place that has some experience with a customer who wants to meet her own needs, wants to feel social connections, is nostalgic for her childhood, and wants experiences to share with her parents and children? You know this. This is what the JCCs do. It's what you are and have been for years. The JCCs are poised to seize this opportunity, and many JCCs already are. The JCCs have more infrastructure than any other system. There's 175 JCC buildings. It's 20 million square feet of indoor space. That doesn't count pools, fields, picnic tables, outdoor space, etc. Thousands and thousands of acres of rural campsites. JCCs, I know you may feel like you're struggling for money. You have total operating revenues of $1 billion. Huge opportunity and system. You have over 2 million people participating in your programs a year. And we know that the JCCs aren't just about that stuff, right? The JCCs are about community. I, too, got pregnant, told my good friend. I told my parents, I told my good friend, and she said to me, quick, get on a wait list, right? Before I told anyone else, I was on a JCC wait list for daycare. And on my son's first day of daycare at a JCC in St. Louis, I dropped him off and I got to my desk and people started calling me, colleagues, friends. Oh, I just saw him, he looks great, don't worry, he's fine, he's sleeping, he's eating, all day long, right? You're like this, right? There's not this anonymous. I have friends now who watch their kids. Now there's cameras you can watch your kids. That my son is about to be 11, that's new technology. But it taught me the JCC is more than just a place you leave your kids, it's community. So the JCC has what it takes, the competition is fierce, and the consumer is highly distracted. I want to give you just a few quick examples of the distracted consumer. Of how you can reach the distracted consumer. The first is thinking about these hundreds and hundreds of organizations that exist and how you can bring brands that are reaching young adults into your JCC, partner with innovative organizations, bring the brands they love to you, right? The business model on this is Whole Foods, right? Whole Foods looks different, has a consistent brand kind of across the country, but Whole Foods in Brooklyn has a record store, right? Whole Foods in San Francisco probably has that green algae juice, right? So this is the model, right? JCCs, by the way, do this all the time, right? You do this with spinning and with music together, but it's time to think about doing this with innovative Jewish organizations. The second piece is building outposts where your customers are. Look, Mark just showed us his, and I'm not going to talk about it more. I will say that I am a proud parent of my daughter, who was a camper at the Kings Bay Y in Brooklyn, who are building these JCC outposts everywhere. It's sort of like Dunkin' Donuts. Wherever you look in Brooklyn now, there's a little tiny JCC, probably the size of this stage, maybe a little bit bigger, right? Take the JCC, bring it to the mall, bring it to neighborhood. My sister Sam, I said to her, would you join a JCC? And she said, maybe if it were 5 minutes away from my house. 5 minutes. That's all I want to drive. Reach people through their friends. The folks at the Mayerson JCC in Cincinnati are doing this in a really interesting way. What really matters to millennials are making friends, having social connections, maintaining their friends, expanding friendship circles, and moving their friends, like getting their friends to go with them to do things. At the Mayerson JCC, they picked 30 people that they identified who were connectors. They gave them free membership to their JCC for a year and said, hey, bring your friends. Hand-picked people who they knew were connectors in the community and said, bring your friends.
So I have a confession to make. I have two confessions. One is that I'm way over time, and I'm sorry. The second is this. I've had on my slides for, I don't know, 6 weeks, something that just says closing, right? And I haven't had anything really because I haven't known exactly what to tell you. TED Talks are supposed to end with this call to action, right? I can't stand here and tell you what to do. I can't stand here and say, if you only do this, people in their 20s and 30s are going to join your JCC. Here's what I know. What I know is you're going to figure it out. The JCC knew how to settle immigrants 120 years ago. The JCC understood that it was time to move to the suburbs and build big fancy pools with water slides when Jews started moving to the suburbs. The JCC understands now that people are moving back to the city and they're trying to put up, these outposts like in Milwaukee and in Brooklyn and I'm sure other places as well. So I'm not going to tell you what to do. You know what to do. I am going to tell you how to do it, and it's really easy. Talk to people and listen to them and do what they tell you. Millennials are eager to engage in the same way we all are. Find people in their 20s, in your communities, ask them what they want and build it with them. I'm happy to help you with it. Next is happy to help you with it. If you're interested in talking about it more with me or with us, we can all talk about it together in a little bit. Thank you.